So you've written about this dynasty. You've written about the Cowboys dynasty. The boys will be boys, the glory days and party nights of the Cowboys dynasty. You've written about Showtime. So you've also written about the USFL, Barry Bonds. Jeff, what have you learned about team chemistry? What can you say about the concept of locker rooms in total disarray, but talent wins through, in other spots where, you've written about the Mets too, where talent is great, but it just can't get through locker room disarray and what have you learned about chemistry throughout all of your years of reporting, Jeff?
I just think it's overrated.
Huh.
I really do. I do. I think there was a great book by Joan Ryan earlier this year about the importance of team chemistry, and it was great, and it was a great read. And I just don't see it. I just think at the end of the day, this was not a team with great chemistry, but they had 2 of the 5 best players on the court, always. And they had these role players who fit their slots really well. And it's not like everyone was going out to dinner after games. It's not like they were all buddy-buddy. I mean, Shaq and Kobe, they were not friends at all. They were teammates and coworkers, but they were so good. And if you don't have good team chemistry, but you have a really good leader who can sort of task focus you and make sure when the time comes, what you are doing is very precise, you're going to win a lot of games. So I just think, I remember when I was writing about baseball, and Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent were teammates, and everyone wanted to do this story of how they're really starting to understand each other. Those 2 guys hated each other. They probably didn't say 5 words to each other in the course of a season, unless it was FU. But they were really good. So I just think at the end of the day, ultimately, if you're really, really good and you have a decent coach keeping things in order, a Dusty Baker or Phil Jackson or Davey Johnson or Jimmy Johnson, you're going to probably your odds of success are good, even if you don't get along that well.
So then, how do you explain the Clippers of this year, then, Jeff? Right? I mean,
I'm not saying it's a fail-proof situation.
You know what I mean? Because again, Paul George's statement after it's all over, saying that they just didn't spend enough time together, even though they were just quarantined for 6 to 8 weeks in a way that he. In very meaningful and moving language, talking about the depression of the bubble, that they hadn't spent enough time together, and they have Kawhi and they have Paul George, and they've got 2 sixth men of the year and a coach who's won it all before, and they don't even get to the conference finals, right? I mean, like he was kind of blaming team chemistry in a way.
Yeah, I do think. I'm not just using it as an excuse to defend my argument. I do think the weirdness of the bubble and COVID and everything throws a little X factor in that's hard to measure. And I also think Denver was a really good team. Like, I do think in the midst of all that, people sort of forgot that Denver was really good.
Right.
Like, really good. And it's sort of like everyone was looking, especially out here in Southern California, everyone's looking for the excuses and, well, how could they let this happen? Well, maybe Denver was just better to a certain degree. I mean, they were really, really good. And I just think being in this bubble and being in this world right now is a really depressing place to be. And maybe, I guess in some circumstances, team chemistry is important if you're all living through hell.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.